Today I wanted to talk to you about something you don't hear very much about. I wanted to talk about how to deal with gas, especially in newborns. I know we've struggled with gas for the first 3 months of Mason's life. He had really bad gas. And you know, when you first find out you're pregnant, everybody wants to give you advice about your baby and what to expect. And then at the hospital, all the nurses are giving you advice and what to expect, but nobody really tells you about how to deal with the gas. So I'm just going to tell you some of the ways we dealt with the gas. When we first brought Mason home, we used to use the Medela bottles, but after doing some research, we did realize drinking the bottle, babies inhaled a lot of air through the bottle. So we looked at a ton of different bottles, and the one we decided on was the Tommy Tippy bottle. I know I mentioned this was one of my favorites. I think it was probably for January. We're still using this bottle, and the reason we like this bottle is because this little tube prevents the baby to swallow any air. And what's also cool that I forgot to mention is, see this little blue strip here? When the water or when the milk gets warm enough, it'll turn pink. So it tells you when the bottle's ready. You still need to test to make sure it's not too hot so you don't burn your baby's mouth. And another thing, when you're feeding your baby, and if you're giving them a big bottle, like this is a 9-ounce bottle, you want to take breaks. You want to take a break in between to burp them. So if you're giving your baby a 6-ounce bottle, say right before bed, at about 3 ounces, you want to stop and burp the baby. Now, of course, your baby's not going to like that. They're going to cry, but trust me, that little bit of crying is going to save you hours, during the night of crying. So make sure you take breaks in between big bottles to burp. And then after the bottle, make sure you take about 10 minutes to completely burp your baby. I know for the first 2 months, we could not get a burp out of Mason, but we still patted him for 10 minutes to try and work all those air bubbles out. So that was really helpful for us. What also helped for us was this St. Joseph's gas relief. Like I mentioned before, our pediatrician does not really recommend giving the babies these. He said it doesn't really help them. It's just something to sell new parents. But of course, I'm a new parent, and I do believe it worked, because after giving him a few drops of this, because you can either put this in their bottle or you can put it directly in their mouth. So it gives you a little injector, and I think we were only giving him 0.3 milliliters, and you can just squirt this in their mouth. So we did that a few nights, and I really do think this stuff worked. I don't care what our pediatrician said. Another thing you want to avoid right after feeding your baby, you don't want to lay them flat on their back. Just because you don't want any food that went down to come back up. So what we did is, after a bottle, we'd sit in the rocking chair for about 30 minutes. And the reason we did 30 minutes is kind of like, when your parents are teaching you how to swim and they say you don't swim after 30 minutes. So I sort of use that logic with feeding and going to bed. And I think it helped. It helped with us. And one thing our pediatrician did recommend was, since you don't want to lay your baby flat on their back right after eating, is to lay them in something in an upright position, like their car seat or a bouncer or the swing. Our pediatrician actually said his 2 kids slept in a car seat up until about 6 months. So with that said, Mason has slept in his car seat a lot. We have also put his bouncer on our bed in between us at the foot of the bed, just so we can keep an eye on him. And he slept in there a few nights, and I'm going to say it really did help, because Mason never really threw up any milk, but like I said, he had a lot of problems with gas, and sitting upright really did help him out. What else? If you're a breastfeeding mom, you really want to pay attention to what you're eating. I know with Mason, dairy affects his belly, so I've stayed away from milk, especially cheese, yogurt, anything like that. I haven't had milk probably in 3 months. Now that Mason's 4 months old, he doesn't really have problems with gas anymore, but I'm still staying away from milk just because I like sleeping through the night. If you're breastfeeding, just experiment with different foods. If you notice, if you had something spicy during the day, and then at night your baby's really fussy, maybe try to stay away from spicy food one day. Or if it's vegetables like broccoli, I know broccoli's a big one. You don't want to. I know my husband has problems when he eats broccoli, and I think it may affect the baby through my breast milk. And one thing we struggled with, because I know breastfeeding did affect his gas, my husband was trying to get me to feed Mason formula. I know we had a few arguments about him saying, because coworkers obviously want to give you advice about how to deal with it, and they say formula, just because there's no milk or anything that could affect the ingredients. But I held strong. I do not want to give Mason formula. There's nothing wrong with formula. If I can provide for my baby, I want to. That's my choice. If there's any other mothers out there or fathers that just want to breastfeed, stay strong. If your partner's trying to convince you to give formula and you strongly believe in breast milk, just stick with it. The way I convinced my husband to keep with the breastfeeding is, they wouldn't make all these gas relief drops and special bottles for, anti-colic if it was only breastfed babies. I think formula-fed babies get gas too. So that's how I would win our fights. So if you're breastfeeding, just keep it up. But like I said, make sure you watch what you are eating, because what you eat, your baby eats. When your baby has gas at night, you'll notice that their stomach gets really, really tight and just jam-packed, and you can almost feel the gas in their stomach. And sometimes when burping, if you can't get it out that way, sometimes just a hot pack can help relieve that. So we have just like a small hot pack that we'll warm up in the microwave and let cool down. But while it's warm, we'll place it on their belly. And I noticed that seemed to soothe him. Whether, I guess kind of like when you have sore joints or muscles and you put a hot pack on and it relieves you, it relieves them. Because I know my husband tried it on Mason a few nights and it worked. It would calm him down and he wouldn't cry as much. And if you're noticing that your baby, is trying to fart and they're, crying because it hurts, what really helped Mason was laying him on his side. So if you're laying in bed, lay him on his side. I know with Mason, once we rolled him on his side, he would just, poor little thing, he would throw some big farts for such a small baby. But it was easier for him to get it out. Same thing if we were in the rocking chair. Instead of holding him over our shoulder or cradling him, we would lay him on his side. So I would say, give that a try. I think that's everything that we tried for dealing with gas. If you are a new parent or you're expecting, I would say do some research on bottles. Do some research on how to deal with the gas. Ask your baby doctor. If you already have a pediatrician, ask your pediatrician. Try to get as much information as you can. Just because we didn't, so we had to experiment a lot. You'll still have to experiment a lot with your own baby because each baby is different. So, good luck to you in dealing with this. It does go away. Like I said, Mason's 4 months old now and we are no longer dealing with it. So thank goodness we are sleeping through the night. Well, almost. He's still waking up once a night. But it's great. It's such a relief we don't have to deal with that anymore. So if you're dealing with it, you know, stay strong. Eventually it'll go away. Their organs are still, their organs are still, you know, trying to form and function properly. Thanks for watching.